how to memorize the 49 processes for PMP examination. In this video, I am going to help you understand that by giving you tips by sharing keywords. There are 7 keywords that will help you remember 34 processes just like that. If you know the 7 keywords, it's pretty simple. These are like repetitive keywords in the process chart. You'll understand all of the 34 processes easily. Then you have got I have a mnemonic for you to understand and remember which knowledge area has got how many processes in that. And then after that, follow with some patterns. I'll share the patterns in this video so that you know what patterns are there for you to remember the PMP process chart. Then I'll also take an example for you to help and understand why the frame, the structure of the chart is like that and how you can remember the processes, why few things come first, second, third. I'll cover that also in this video. And finally, I'll show some logics for you to understand why are the planning processes arranged in that way. So hang on with me in this video. We will try and understand how the PMP process chart is made so that you memorize this chart and you can remember and answer the questions on the PMP examination easily with this chart. So we will go from this screen, the blank chart screen with just having the process groups and the knowledge areas, to this that's there in the PMBOK 6th edition with the 49 processes. So are you ready? We will go step by step. I will tell you what you need to do on day 1, day 2, day 3, and by day 7 you'll remember the entire chart by just recalling from your memory. Watch this video for the next 15-20 minutes. You'll understand it and then you'll be able to recall the entire chart very easily. Grab a pen and paper for yourself so that you can start doing what I'm asking you to do. Let's get started off. So let's consider a house example. You want to construct a house. Now, how does this example of house help you remember the PMP process chart? Let's get started off with that. Now, let's say you want to build a house. So what is the first thing that you want to do when you build a house? You come with an idea, right? You come with an idea to build a house. So that's the first thing you're going to do is you're going to initiate the work. Initiate. So this idea is being initiated. So that's the first process group. It's called the initiating process group. So these are the process groups. I'm going to write over process groups. We'll be covering 5 process groups. So once you have an idea to build a house, what is the next thing that you want to do? You want to lay out a plan. How many bedrooms you want, how many kitchens, what's the lawn area, what is the parking, how many floors, what are the dimensions of each thing. So you want to plan out things, right? So that's the next process group. That's the planning process group in the area, right? Now, once you have planned on the ideas there, now you have to get things done. You have to start doing the work. And that's called the executing work process group. Executing process group, right? And then once the work is being done, you would like to come and monitor and check the work that's been done, right? So you want to review, inspect the work. You're paying your hard-earned money, you want to inspect things. So you will understand this in monitoring and controlling process group. Monitoring and controlling process group. Finally, once the entire work is done, the house is built, ready, you want to close the work. So it's finally the closing process group. So closing process group. So these are the 5 process groups that PMBOK says that any project that has been started, it goes across these 5 process groups. Now, each project will have a lot of constraints, and there are like few constraints and they're covered in few knowledge areas and few more extra knowledge areas. So in total, you have got like 10 knowledge areas. Okay, it's like 10 knowledge, 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas. Together, all of these 5 process groups will have like 49 processes in that. Now, let me help you understand the knowledge areas logically, which comes first, second, third, and everything. Okay. So now that you want to build this house, it's just a small picture I've put in over here. So you want to see the house, like how big do you want to be a house, right? What is the scope of the work? That's the first thing. How much work needs to be done, right? So the first thing you want to talk about is the scope of the work. What is the scope of the work, right? Let's say you have a contractor who's going to build this house for you. So now he's the first thing you're going to ask him, like, boss, tell me what is the scope of the work for this project, right? So you go and tell him what is the scope of the work for the project. Okay, now once the scope is ready, you are now going to talk, okay, by when can you complete this? I'm going on site for like 2-3 months. By the time I come back, will you be able to finish the work? Is the question I'm going to ask, right? So next thing you want to ask is like by when the duration or schedule. Schedule is the next knowledge area of that, right? So schedule management. First is scope management, then you have schedule management. Now, he says, okay, boss, you want this to become this, but everything that needs to be done, you have to pay for that, right? So you have to pay money. So the next thing that comes is cost. Ding. So cost is what is needed, right? Absolutely, you have to pay for the house that you want to get built by somebody, by a contractor or a vendor who is, right. So the cost comes in very big picture. Now you have the work, you have put the money. Now what do you expect next from this contractor, right? Is he putting the right quality of material that you expect in your dream house to be, right? So the next thing that comes into picture is the quality. Okay, so quality management is the next thing. Now, so okay, my spelling is bad. QA column. Okay, there's a typo. Okay, now quality, you agree on certain quality. This kind of materials, what I look into, the tiles, the woodwork, the paint has to be of this quality, the bricks have to be this quality, you will use this kind of cement, right? So you talk about the quality and all those things, right? Now most importantly, now once the quality is ready, now how will you build the house? You need resources, you need people resources, human resources, as well as the other resources like sand and materials, right? So the next thing is resources. That's a resource management, right? So that's the next thing that you need. That's the resources. Now when people are there in the project, what happens? People talk to each other. It's pretty simple, just logically. People are there, they talk to each other. So next thing is communication that happens on the project, right? So that's the communication management knowledge area. Now once people communicate, what do they do? Sometimes miscommunicate. There are some issues. People tell something, people understand something. So what does this lead to? This leads to risk on the project. So that's the risk management. Now finally, all the work the contractor will not be able to do it by himself. He'll have to have other procurement things. He has to go and find out the best possible material and the best price that works out for him. So he'll have to procure things. Procurement, right? Procurement management. And then finally, once procurement is done, you get people come see the house, are happy or not, you're unhappy. There's a housewarming that happens, people come and give you rating, they give comments like, oh, lovely house, like, no, it's going to be done, build better, right? So this is, I'll call this stakeholder management. You have to manage people. Stakeholders. Okay. Fine. So these are the 5 knowledge areas and 10 knowledge areas. We have got 9 here. So as a project manager, you have to know and integrate with all these 9 knowledge areas in the integration management. Okay. So those are the 10 knowledge areas and 5 process groups we have. Now this structure has to be filled with 49 processes. Okay, so this area is going to get filled with like 49 processes. Now let's try to understand and memorize what are some tips to memorize these 49 processes. That's very, very important, right? So which knowledge areas has got how many processes, right? So for that, I have got a mnemonic in front of you. Remember this mnemonic, the number. Okay, so it's like a 76-year-old man marries a 64-year-old woman. They are married for like 36 years. They have 3 kids. One is 7 feet tall, one is 3 feet tall, and one is 4 feet tall. So there's a bizarre combination, right? 7 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet. So it's pretty simple. A 76-year-old man marries a 64-year-old woman. They're married for like 36 years, and they've got 3 kids. One kid is 7 feet tall, other 2 kids are 3 and 4 feet tall, right? Another bonus tip for you is like, you see this pattern over here, it's like 36, 37, 34. So 7 goes into the integration. There are 7 processes in integration management, 6 in scope management, 6 in schedule, 4 in cost, 3 in quality, 6 in resources, 3 in communication, and goes on, right? So if you remember this mnemonic, this number, the way to remember the number is the mnemonic. Like 76-year-old man is married to a 64-year-old woman for 36 years. They've got 3 kids, 7 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet tall, right? That's simple. So that will help you remember how many processes which each knowledge area has. Now, few more patterns and hints, right? So what happens is in initiating process group and in closing process group. I'm starting off with these 2 process groups, initiating and closing, right? Okay. You see, initiating and process group has got 2 knowledge areas covered. So there is 1 process in integration, 1 process in stakeholder management in the initiating, and in closing there's only 1 process in the knowledge area integration. So all in all, you see initiating has just 2 processes, closing has got 1 processes. Okay. Now if you go back and see over here, so 2 processes initiating, 1 in closing. Planning has got processes in all the 10 knowledge areas. Executing has got processes in 7 knowledge areas, right? It's not there for 3, we'll talk about that. And then monitoring control has got processes in all the 10 knowledge areas. So you can remember it's like 2A, 7A, 1. So it's principle, very simple. So remember just A, 7A. All in planning, 7 executing, and all in monitoring controlling. So all the knowledge areas have got processes in planning and in monitoring controlling. In executing is just 7 knowledge areas. Okay. Now if you see, The first thing, so which are the processes that you need to remember? Just remember these three processes for now. I'll share you the patterns very soon, right? So three processes covered by using the number 2 and 1. Initiating has got 2. One is develop project charter and identify stakeholders, and closing has got 1, close project or phase. Okay, that's it. On day 1, I just want you to remember these three things, right? So you should remember what are the knowledge areas, what are the 5 process groups, okay? Then followed with this mnemonic of like 76-year-old man marries 64-year-old woman for 36 years. They've got 3 kids, 7, 3 and 4 feet tall, right? And then just remember the 3 processes that I wanted to say from this knowledge area for day 1. Just that's it. Okay, tomorrow when you come and kind of look into this, you'll have to add on a few more things. I'll show you more patterns, right? So, and then as I told you, planning covers all knowledge areas, monitoring covers all knowledge areas, and executing just 7 knowledge areas. That's I just highlighted in front of you. Okay, now on day 2. On day 2, I want to share some important keywords with you. So, right, there are like 7 keywords which will cover almost like 34 processes. Okay, important keywords repeated on the chart. What are they? Plan, control, monitor, manage, develop, engagement, estimate, right? So these are the processes which are the keywords you need to remember. Okay, on day 2, just make a note of the 7 keywords, and I'll be sharing you like maybe plan, control, and monitor for day 2, and just do that for today, and then we'll stop, right? So when you're writing down just on the day 2, just do this. These are simple steps you have, right? So in integration management, so the keyword project says that, okay, integration management has got project on all the 5 process groups. Okay, we already saw develop project charter and close project or phase, and now there are 3 more processes which have got project in them. So what are their names? Okay, so develop project charter, develop project management plan, direct and manage project work in executing, monitor and control project work in monitoring and controlling, and then closing, right? So planning will have project and plan, monitoring control will have monitoring, control and project, okay? Executing will have manage and project. So those are the keywords you need to remember, okay? So it's pretty direct and very forward, and closing has got close project phase, right? So in day 2, we see that each process group has got project in them for integration knowledge area. Okay, names of process are in front of you. Develop project charter, develop project management plan, direct and manage project work, monitor and control project work, and close project or phase. Next, very simple, all knowledge areas starting from scope till stakeholder have got plan scope management as a process. Simple, nothing, no rocket science, right? So this covers like 15 processes till now. So it's like plan scope management, plan schedule management, plan cost management, plan quality management, plan resource management, plan risk management. So all of the knowledge areas from scope to stakeholder management have got planning as plans in that, right? That's the keyword. So this is how you can easily write on day 2. So by day 2, you know what 15 processes that's going to happen, right? So that's it, right? Now day 3. Now day 3, the next keyword I want you to use is control. Okay, so control comes in next 7 processes like perform and change control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So where all this control come? It comes in the monitoring and controlling process group. Okay, very simple. As plan came in planning process group, monitoring and control have control process group. Okay, now let's see what are the processes. So it's like perform, integration, change control, control scope, control schedule, control cost, right? So each knowledge area has just got the name with control. It's as simple as that. Okay, for scope, schedule, cost, quality, resource, and procurement, it is just control and the knowledge area name. Control and knowledge area name. There's no rocket. It's pretty logical, right? Then after that, you have got monitor. Monitor is the next keyword on day 3. Day 3, you are covering 2 keywords, control and monitor. So monitor is like monitor communication, monitor risk, monitor stakeholder. Okay, so the stakeholder engagement actually. Okay, I have not typed in over there, but it's monitor stakeholder engagement. Got it? Clear? So this covers 25 processes. By the end of day 3, you should be able to write down. You see, every day just spending like 5 minutes just write down these new processes. On day 1, you just started off with the big structure. Day 2, you came with project and the plan, and now it's monitor and control, right? Okay, on day 4, I wanted to get into the executing process group, and the keyword over here is manage. The keyword is what? Manage, right? So manage comes in 5 places, and those knowledge areas: manage project knowledge, Quality is called manage quality, resources is called manage team, communication is called manage communication, and stakeholders are manage stakeholder engagement. Right? It's pretty simple. Every knowledge area, just put in manage as a keyword over there. That's the pattern we see. Right? So it's very simple to remember these. And now that covers like 29 processes. Now day 4, one more thing I want to remember is develop is the next keyword. We already have covered develop and develop project charter and develop project management plan. We will also cover develop in 2 more places, develop schedule in the schedule management and develop team. You have got people, so you have to develop them. All right, you have to build a schedule. It's called a develop schedule. Remember these process names cannot be changed as per PMI. The name has to be the same. Okay, so develop team, develop schedule. Next, okay, so then we also see that estimates is also there in 3 knowledge areas, right? So cost, durations, and resources. So again, estimate is also over here, highlighted over here. So on day 4, we are talking about develop and estimate, the next keywords. So just take 5 minutes, write down all these things, estimate and all this stuff. So it's like estimates activity durations, estimate cost, and activity resources. So these are the keywords for day 4. So totally, I've covered like 34 processes easily. Okay, so you start with project across all process groups in integration, then you go to plan across all the 10 knowledge areas, then you go to control for 7 knowledge areas, then monitor for like 4 knowledge areas, and then you come to manage for like 5 knowledge areas, and then you have got develop for 4, estimate for like 3. That's it, right? Now let's see a little bit more, right? Now let's go with more on logic. Now define scope. Now what are the different processes in scope, right? So the work that we want to do is called as define scope. Now once we define scope, let's say I want to build a house of 30-40, right? So let's say I want to build a house of 30-40 feet in dimension, right? Now that's the area. Now what are the scope, like how many floors, all this. Now the contractor is asking me more questions. He's asking more requirements. So what kind of walls are you looking for? What kind of wood are you looking for? So it's going into details. What are the requirements for this to meet the scope, right? Then that's why after define scope comes collect requirements. Now, once all of these things, a lot of things are there to do, we want to begin small packages. It's called work packages. To the create work breakdown structure, which are manageable units, right? Work breakdown structure is the list of work that we're going to do, list of all the requirements that's there, which is manageable and broken down. Okay, and then we kind of finally want to check the scope has been met or not. So we have the process called validate, scope, and monitor and control. So similarly for schedule, once you have the list of things that needs to be done, it's called as define the activities that we need to build, and then we want to sequence the activities. Like for example, first build the ground floor, then second floor, then we start with the foundation, and then the pillars, and then the walls, and then you have got like electricity or something, maybe some plumbing, and then cementing. Right? There is a sequence of the activities. Right? Dependencies on that. Then you want to estimate those activity durations. That's the next process, right? How long is the foundation going to take? How long is the pillars going to take, right? So that's the thing. And then develop the schedule. Taking all these dependencies in mind, we want to build the schedule. So PMI says this is the sequence of schedule, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity duration, develop schedule. Finally, the cost. So determine budget. Right? So how much cost is going to take to build the house? So that's the determine budget process over here. So all of these are covered in these 3 knowledge areas. So that's the sequence of the logical sequence. Remember these things. Okay. Plan scope management, define scope, collect requirements, create WBS in scope management, plan schedule management, define activities, sequence activities, estimate activity duration, and develop the schedule. Then plan cost management, estimate cost, determine budget. So remember these things. On day 5, just remember these things, these sequences. Okay, you can also answer many questions on the PMP examination. Those sequences very well for the planning process group. Now finally, for resources, you've got acquire resources and then risk. Right? On day 6, we want to learn about the resources. We want to acquire resources, and then about the risk, identify risk, planning, perform qualitative risk analysis, quantitative risk analysis, plan risk response, implement response. You want to identify what are the risks when building the house. Then you want to see what kind of risk is it subjective risk, or is it a quantitative risk? Is it a money risk, or is it like a very subjective risk? Or is it like, you want to plan responses. What you can't do, you want to transfer, you want to mitigate, you want to accept some risk, and then you want to implement a risk response in the executing process group, right? So that's what you want to do. So these are the new process you need to remember logically, right? On the day 6. So, and then finally for procurement, you've got conduct procurement. That's an executing process group. Okay, so that's how it looks in front of you. So this covers all the 49 processes. Okay, on day 7, what I want to do is I want to just take a blank piece of paper, then just sit and now recall First, on the day one, you learned about the 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas, and then you learned that in the initiating process group, we've got 2 process, develop project charter and identify stakeholders, and then close project. Write that down. Then on the day two, try to recall. See, our brain works with a lot of recall. If you recall things, right, and then write it on a paper, it's much more easier for you to retain things for a longer time. That's how the brain works. Okay, testing your brain helps you retention increase. It increases retention. Right now, on the day two, now just recall. Arham spoke about the project. So every process group in integration has got project. What are the names? Develop project management plan, director manage project work, monitor and control project work, close project. So it's just the process group name and the project work just getting added. And then after that, we also saw about the plan, right? So plan is there for all the 9 knowledge areas. And then on day 3, we saw about the control. It's there in 6 knowledge areas, and then monitor is also in the remaining 4 knowledge areas. And it is just suffixing the knowledge area name. Monitor, control, scope, control, schedule, control, cost, manage communication, monitor communication, monitor risk, monitor stakeholders, right? So just put in the suffix of the knowledge areas. And then after that, we saw about manage quality on day 3. Then after that, we saw about develop schedule, develop as a keyword, and then estimate as keyword. And then we came down logically about looking on things on hub, scope, schedule. So write down, think and recollect and make this table in front of you. So this mnemonic also, there was mnemonic I wanted to understand and remember that a 76-year-old man manages a 64-year-old woman for 36 years. They've got 3 kids, 7 feet, 3 feet, and 4 feet tall. So that's about the video on how to remember 49 processes. I wish you all the best. Please do subscribe to the channel. If you like this video, do like it, put a comment, and let me know any more videos you want to watch. I wish you all the best for your PMP examination. Bye. All the best.